Hey everybody, welcome to Close to the Heart here on YouTube.com. I'm Jason Klaus. We certainly appreciate you taking time out of your week to give the show a watch. We're getting kind of back into a normal type of format for this week's show, just sitting down in front of the camera, in front of the microphone, and discussing one or maybe two topics. This comes on the heels of the most recent episodes where we've had guests on. We did a watch-along most recently with Rick Cartier, which I had a lot of fun doing. It was pretty well received and has inspired future episodes along with the watch-along format. So more information will be coming in the coming weeks is in terms of that new content that's on its way. But here this week, we're getting kind of back into the normal swing of things. Just me sitting in the office and looking into the camera here and just kind of talking about one particular topic. And like a lot of my most recent points of conversation, specifically more towards the podcast, the inspiration comes from something that I had seen that a friend of mine or a listener or a fan of the show has posted on social media. Well, Kristen Snyder, who is a longtime friend of mine, just a tremendous person. God, I think I've known her for about 15 years now, and we haven't seen each other in a very long time, but we stay in contact through Facebook and things of that nature. And she had posted a meme a few weeks back, and when she posted it, I read it. I hit the like button on it, and but it was something that it stayed with me. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're on social media, you see hundreds and thousands of different things posted, videos and memes and things of this nature. And a lot of times we just kind of scroll right through it. We may take a second or two and look at it, but for something, when you go across your timeline or your news feed or what have you, it's got to be something pretty significant that stays in your mind. And this thing that Kristen posted really resonated with me, and I was trying to figure out how I would go about tackling this as a topic. And I knew just because of the nature of it, it wasn't going to be like a whole episode on the podcast, but I thought it would, it was still a very meaningful message, and one that I think would do good here for the YouTube show. So I'm going to read you something that she posted, and I'm going to kind of dive into it and just kind of give my perspective of it and how we can apply that to our everyday lives. She posted the following: The Tale of Two Wolves. An old Cherokee told his grandson, "My son, there is a battle between two wolves inside all of us. One is evil. It is anger and jealousy and greed, resentment, inferiority, lies, and ego. The other is good. It is peace, joy, love, hope, humility, kindness, empathy, and truth." The boy thought about it and asked, "Grandfather, which wolf wins?" The old man quietly replied, "The one you feed." Now, I have always maintained, and anybody that's listened to the podcast, has watched the show, knows that I'm very much about the fundamentals of life, the basics, man, the bare root of it all. in this complicated world of technology and everything that goes along with it, at the end of the day, it comes down to good versus evil. Because even though there are these many areas of gray in our world right now, and a lot of people tend to live their lives in the gray area, I do not. While I realize and I acknowledge the fact that there are some areas that the gray area does apply, more often than not, it comes down to the basic fundamentals of black and white and good versus evil. And I feel like when we go about life like that, it tends, number one, to simplify things. It doesn't have to be nearly as complicated as what we make it out to be. It just doesn't have to be. But we get so consumed with all these other outside influences that a lot of times we forget that it does boil down to good versus evil, black and white. Now, when I read this, I thought, number one, it was an incredible story. And number two, it makes all the sense in the world. Especially for those of us who are battling these things on the inside. You know, I mean, everybody's got 1,000 things happening in our lives, and everybody can, you know, it's a lot easier at times to pinpoint everything that's going wrong instead of focusing on what's right in your life. The people, the memories, the good times. You know, we especially with everything happening in the world around us, we forget about that because we want to really we want to have our voices heard in a lot of cases, but at the same time, man, the one person that we need to listen to is ourselves. Because at the end of the day, I feel like our individual happiness really is a result of how we communicate with ourselves. And I know that sounds a little stupid, and I realize that to a lot of you that may not make sense. But think about this. I firmly believe that with each and every day that we come across these different challenges and these different opportunities where we meet at crossroads. We are met with a certain situation, we are met with a decision that has to be made, and there's a right way to go about things, and then there's a wrong way to go about things. What side are you going to choose? Now, that inner struggle within ourselves really boils down to that, because we come to these quote-unquote crossroads every single day. Whether or not we take the time to acknowledge it or not, that's a different story, and that's something that you're going to have to figure out on your own. But ultimately, what kind of existence do you want to have? What kind of life do you want to lead? Do you want to lead a life that is embroiled with turmoil and chaos and controversy, ill feelings, and things of the like? I would suggest probably not. If you are of sound mind, I would suggest that is, at least in my case, that is the furthest thing that I want to be a part of. I choose every day when I wake up, I look at it as a clean slate. And I realize that during the course of my day that I'm going to be met with different challenges, and I'm going to be met with different decisions that I have to make. And a lot of them, they're not going to be life-altering. It's just going to be a conscious effort on what kind of day am I going to have. And consequently, what kind of impact am I going to make on the other people in my life or that are around me, that I see on a somewhat regular basis? Your coworkers, fellow students, colleagues, things of this nature. So I firmly believe, man, in every sense of the word, there are two wolves within all of us. And it comes down to a simple question from a boy that says, which wolf wins? Is it the one that embodies the good in life? Or is it going to be the one that is a champion for the bad? For the evil, for the anger and the jealousy and the greed and the resentment and all the stuff that goes along with it. And these people. You come in contact with them all the time because you read their stuff on social media. And you can pretty much tell just based on a tone of a simple Facebook post as to which wolf that individual fed on that day. And a lot of times, I'm sorry to say, they fed what is, in my opinion, the wrong one. On the flip side of that coin, you can tell just by the demeanor and the aura and the context in which a post was written that they chose to feed the good wolf. The one that it's all about the peace and joy and the humility and kindness. Kindness is a big one, at least for me. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, I'm recording this, I was at work, and my friend across the line from me, who I see every single day, I have conversations with every single day about every topic under the sun, said something to me very simple. He didn't know that it was going to make an impact on me. And I don't even think I sold it to him in terms of what kind of impact it had. But he says, you've got to be about the nicest guy I know. And it was when he said that, I was in the process of thinking about this post from Kristen and how I was going to apply it to the show. And when he said that, my immediate thought was, I fed the good wolf that day. So what kind of day do you want to have? What kind of life do you want to live? Do you want to live one that's overall positive and happy, at least in terms of what you have control over? Because you can't control every single thing that happens in the world around us. Some of it is so far gone, I don't know if it can ever be fixed, in all honesty. Not without a concentrated group effort from a lot of people at one time. That makes a positive difference. Not one that is embroiled in controversy and chaos. Because when that happens, you can plainly tell there's a whole pack of people that fed the wrong wolf on that particular day, during that particular time. Now, it's really ultimately up to you as to how you want to live your life, and subsequently what kind of people do you want in your life. Because when you have an aura, when you have a presentation, a basic personal presentation as somebody who is just a decent person, you are more often than not going to attract other decent people to your lives, ones that will bring light to your days, one that will bring you joy, one that will bring you happiness. Because when you're all doom and gloom and you're focusing more on what's not going right and everything that's going wrong, the whole world is going to hell in a handbasket and everything just sucks, well, that's the kind of people you're going to draw to you. the ones that subscribe to that same mentality. So the point being, obviously, is, every day you have a decision to make as to, what kind of day you're going to have is going to ultimately result into which wolf that you feed on that particular day. Just something to think about here this week on the show. Right now we are going to take a quick time out, and when we come back, I'm going to give you kind of a preview as to different things that we're working on here at Close to the Heart, and a few other odds and ends. So don't go away. More of the Close to the Heart show is right after this. Now in production. A celebration of a true original. A man who was a devoted husband. A loving father. A fun-loving uncle. A loyal friend. A wonderful son. A devoted brother. A popular fan favorite. But above all else, a superstar. Echo Creations Films proudly presents an MWO Network special presentation. Forever Perry, the Jeff Klaus story. Coming in the spring of 2021. Hey, we appreciate you checking out this week's episode of the Close to the Heart Show on YouTube. And if you're digging what we're doing here, don't forget, every Tuesday morning at midnight, a new episode of the Close to the Heart podcast drops over on Anchor.fm, or it is available a half an hour later on Spotify. Don't forget, the Close to the Heart podcast, every Tuesday morning at midnight, powered by Anchor.fm. And welcome back to the Close to the Heart show here on YouTube.com. I certainly appreciate you guys hanging around this week. We have a number of different things that are in the production process. We have another episode coming up in 2 weeks' time here on YouTube. If you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button for me and get notified each and every time a new episode drops. Then of course, every Tuesday morning at midnight, exclusively from our friends over at Anchor.fm, it's the Close to the Heart podcast. It is available also on Spotify within a half an hour of it dropping over on Anchor, and got a few episodes that we're working on here. I'm going to bring on some guests. Last week I did something a little bit different. I ripped some audio off from a previous YouTube show and incorporated it into the podcast, because there are some of you that listen to the podcast but haven't seen all of the YouTube shows, and I got a lot of positive feedback from that. And I think that's something, if I find that an episode is running a little bit shorter than usual, then now I know that that's definitely an option to add kind of like classic clips from the YouTube show. Wrapping up this week and putting a bow on it, I just wanted to say a couple of things here. The other day I posted a kind of a trailer of sorts in terms of my next project, in terms of the documentaries. I got overwhelmingly rave reviews on Crossing the Line, and I felt very, very good about that. I was so nervous when, the day before that premiered. I found myself, kind of having to, you gotta take deep breaths, because I was more nervous about that than I had been for a live show in quite some time, and but overall, I mean, there were, you're always going to have haters. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, you're just, I'm never going to please everybody, and that just goes with the territory, because everybody has an opinion. But for the most part, I would say a good 99% of the feedback I got was overwhelmingly positive, and it's something, whether you're in that 99 percentile of the people that liked it, or you're in the 1% that shit all over it. Just, I'm going to keep doing it, and this next project that I'm working on is going to be nothing short of, I guess emotional is about as good of a way as I can summarize it at this point. I am taking on the task of trying as best as I can to tell my brother's story, not just necessarily from his career in professional wrestling, but like his life story. And I posted something on his tribute page on Facebook with something of a trailer that's the same trailer that you just saw a little bit ago on this episode, and already there's been a lot of anticipation growing for this, and this is going to be something that doing Crossing the Line took a lot of time, and but I also realized too that there was a significant chunk of time that project was put on the back burner for obvious reasons, right? I kind of have put myself under the gun, more or less, in terms of how long I'm going to spend on this project, because I've kind of set a tentative goal for the end of April for this thing to premiere, and I have a couple of different ideas, and I don't even know if it's even going to be feasible, because we're still dealing with COVID and all of the restrictions and things in place, and it's especially when you're dealing with any kind of public assembly or gathering or things of this nature. But I have a couple of ideas when we roll this one out that I want to try to incorporate, and like I said, where I'm going to have to wait till we get closer to April before any major announcements are made. It may simply be just a premiere on the YouTube channel, and I'm going to try to do something a little bit different. If we go that route with it, it's actually going to simulcast on both the MWO network and the Close to the Heart channel. So we're going to try to see how that whole thing works. But that's plan B. I have a pretty significant plan A in place, and I'm hoping that we're getting to a point to where we can kind of start eyeballing what life after a pandemic was going to look like, and we'll just have to wait and see there. But here comes my shameless plugs, and that is, I already told you about the YouTube channel, I told you about the podcast. For all of the information about Close to the Heart, as far as our new content, the merchandise store, things of this nature, you can find it all on our official website, clousetotheheart.net. And if you have any kind of feedback, you can send us a direct message through our Facebook page, or you can send us an email at clousetotheheart@gmail.com. So with that, Be awesome to yourselves and to each other. I certainly appreciate you taking time out this week to watch the show. And we will see you next time right here on the Close to the Heart Show on YouTube.com.